Hello, everyone. It's me, Seraphy Gray. I'm back, and it's been a while. I'm here with another Duelingbook replay. It took me a while to come up with a list and a hybrid that I really liked for Zoodiac. So didn't really feel like recording until I was satisfied, but I did find one, and this was a good set. My opponent's using a real cool deck that I'm excited to talk about. So yeah, let's get started. I am playing Zoodiac Eldlich. I swear there's Zoodiacs in here, you just can't see them. My opponent, if the sleeves didn't give it away, is playing Invoked with, well, the trade-in probably might clue that something's up here, something a little different. All right, let's get started. My opponent is going first. My hand is bad. They're going to melt down, which is fine, just on activation, search an A-lister, the usual Invoke drill. So they are going to go get A-lister the Invoker, and I will fire Droll and Lockbird, because that's what it does after they've added a card from their deck to their hand. You can draw, and that's it. Can't add any more for the rest of the turn. So if they don't have Invocation in their hand already, it's the end of their turn. They don't, so they're just going to set... It is an A-lister. I didn't know this. I was assuming it would be a hand trap, like an Ash Blossom or something. But it doesn't matter, because Skullmeister doesn't even have enough attack to get over A-lister. Yeah, it's very unfortunate when you just stop your opponent's entire turn, and then you can't do anything because you have 4 back row and hand traps. So I'm just going to set everything. I'm going to set the Cosmic, going to set Scarlet, going to set Conquistador, and hope I draw a monster soon. This is probably the biggest weakness of the deck I'm running, is that sometimes you just open this. So my opponent will flip up A-lister and activate it because it's a card from, 2017 that actually activates upon flipping face up. That is not something you see very often. Anyways, they're going to get Invocation, and here I'm in trouble. I have one bit of interaction, and that is Conquistador plus Scarlet. That's one pop. I get one pop off the Conquistador, and that's got to get me through. Then here's where it gets interesting. My opponent is going to activate Banishment of the Darklords. This is Darklord invoked, and oh my god, this is cool. Just wait until you guys see. This is so cool. So Banishment's going to add a Darklord card from the deck to their hand, except for itself. So yeah, I've got nothing here. So they're going to get Darklord Superbia. When it's special summoned from the graveyard, you can target one fairy-type monster in your graveyard, except itself, special summon it. They're just going to pitch it with trade-in, draw 2 cards, because it's big. This isn't a once-per-turn effect, which I don't think will come up, but it's something to keep in mind. Then they're going to pitch the Sanctified Darklord and Darklord Enchantment. Just special summon Darklord Nastin from their hand. And oh, here's where it gets cool. Here's where it gets real cool. So first off, you can discard 2 other Darklord cards, special summon it. Then on either player's turn, you can pay 1,000 life points, target 1 Darklord spell and trap in your graveyard, apply that target's effect, then shuffle that target into the deck. That appears to be a shared effect on most of the Darklord monsters past a certain point. Like Superbia doesn't have it, but I think it's a bit older. And god, yeah, just as an example, look at what they've got in the graveyard. They've got a Searcher they can activate. They've got what's now a quick effect negate that's not a trap. They've got the ability to take control just in the graveyard already. And then they get the resource back too, because it goes back into the deck. That's so nice. Just had to take a minute to actually read what they all did. Yeah. So, also, I believe, because it only applies effects and not like costs or anything, kind of like Diamond Dude, it only applies effects, so it gets around like the once per turn thing, because you're just using that effect as this effect. But anyways, my opponent's going to go back to Invoke, going to normal summon Alistair, which is not once per turn. And then with their 2 Alistairs, they are going to make Abyss Dweller. I'm not entirely sure why they didn't just go for like Secure Guard now or whatever. since clearly I don't have like a plan. I'm just sitting on back row. But they will Abyss Dweller, which actually is kind of annoying because it stops my... Let's say my Conquistador gets popped. It stops it from floating. Anyways, they're going to Invocation, banish Alistair, and pitch Darklord Christia. And I do kind of do a goof here. So, anyways, you'll see in a minute. My opponent is going to attempt to activate Invocation. I will Skullmeister when a card or effect is activated in your opponent's graveyard. You can send this card from your hand to the graveyard, negate the effect. Just trying to stop it from recurring, even though I don't want them getting the Alistair back, basically. I know they have Invocation in hand, but I don't want them getting Alistair back, so... Yeah, my opponent will attempt to say that Dweller stops hand traps, which is not true. It's just I don't think they were looking when I pitched Skullmeister, so... Fair enough. The temptation to go look away, well, during stuff is just... It's high. So yes. Alright. Now they're just going to go to battle. I'm going to take a lot. This kind of forces out the Scarlet Sanguine. I'm just mostly thinking of what I want to target. I end up going for Makaba here, just because it's the most threatening thing. Like, if I top deck a Zoodiac, Dweller doesn't matter. Nastin kind of does, but I can't really... I think I should have popped Nastin here, honestly, looking back. Because I could just crash... I know he's only got Invocation in hand, so I could just crash Eldlich into Makaba. Yeah, oh well. I do end up targeting Makaba here, but now that's definitely going to come down to my own inexperience with fighting Darklords. Like, who fights Darklords? Yeah. So Nastin's going to destroy Conquistador, which cannot float at the end phase like normal because Abyss Dweller's on the field. And that's just kind of lame. It's going to slow me down a lot. I don't even have like a second Conquistador for more interaction. I have a Cosmic Cyclone, which is absolutely not mattering. Like, I don't think they're going to set a Darklord trap, and Magical Meltdown's already fired, so... Anyways, they're going to go into main phase 2, and this is where this gets fun. They will think for a while. Then activate Nastin's effect. Pay 1,000 life points. Target Banishment of the Darklords, their Searcher. Because it only copies the effect and not like anything else, that is a legal move. Then they're going to get Darklord Contact from their deck to their hand, which special summons one Darklord monster from your graveyard in defense position. They're going to get back Darklord Superbia, whose effect will then activate, and get back Darklord Christia. So now nobody can special summon, and that's just so cool. Like, wow, that is honestly so neat. So he's got a Dweller online for my next turn. I cannot special summon. On top of all this body that, yeah, if I had actually attacked into, or if I had used Conquistador and popped Nastin, none of this would have happened. So that was definitely a misplay on my part. I had no idea Christia was coming, but now it's something to know for the future if I ever fight this again. And here I'm kind of screwed. I do have an out to Christia that's pretty ridiculous that I didn't see at the time, and that's Artifact Lancia. Because it's a level 5, I could tribute the Eldlich, set the Lancia, then I could use Eldlich, dump Cosmic Cyclone, put it back to hand, and then I can't special summon, so I would use Eldlich, pitch Scarlet Sanguine, and then destroy Christia. Which is possible, but then I have no resources anyways, so... I elect to just do nothing because there isn't a whole lot I can do. Even drawing like a zoo wouldn't out this. I needed basically Conquistador or bust. So I'm just going to go into battle. I debate on which one of the Dweller or the Superbia to walk over. Spoilers, it absolutely does not matter. Yeah, at end of main, they're going to activate Dweller. which prevents Conquistador from floating again. So that delays me another turn. Delays me getting a Scarlet, although little do they know I have a Scarlet in my hand already, and it's not helping. And yeah, that'll basically be game right there. They don't have to really stretch for much. They will get to Invocation, which... Yep, they get Alistair back, and here we go again. The endless ride of... The endless ride of Invoked. God. Anyways... He's thinking. I don't know why. Like, the game's basically over. Gonna nest in target, I believe, Sanctified. Yeah, the Sanctified Darklord. Doesn't copy costs, so it just negates the effects of one monster on the field until the end of the turn. Which will negate... I was thinking they just negate Eldlich and use it for... I don't know. Doesn't it use it for, like, the life point game? But no. They've got something better in mind. Because it doesn't specify opponent's monster, they can negate Archlord Christia, and they can special summon during their turn. God, that's so cool. That's so sweet. So now they can special summon, and come my turn, I will not be able to. They're gonna Alistair get another Invocation. Just a completely endless train of invocations. Then they're going to make BLS. Then they're going to go for Invocation, but because they only have the one Alistair, the two Alistairs in Grave, I actually can activate Lancia and stop Makaba or whatever from coming out. Or Purgatory, or any of them. Because I guess they don't have... Yeah, they don't have one in hand, so it just fizzles. But BLS is basically lights out anyways. And attack over Eldlich. I will take 500. They will banish the Cosmic Cyclone for good measure. Because clearly I was having difficulty. Then they're going to get in with Christia. And now it's my turn. And I draw a Skullmeister. I swear there are Zoodiacs in this deck. I swear. Like, the idea is you just can stall with Eldlich and a bunch of hand traps until you draw a Zoo, but not this time. So the writing's on the wall. I set the Skullmeister. Hope they somehow don't have a single monster they can use. But then they throw down Invocation, and I decide I've seen enough. So that's game one. Got one-sided vanities, effectively. Okay, for siding, I sided out the 3 Lancia for 3 Solemn Judgment as one of my side choices. Just, I'm going first. Lancia is helpful, but because it's reciprocal, it also turns off my own Scarlet Sanguine or Conquistador or whatnot. And given that this is just going to be a slower one, my opponent's not playing a combo deck, I elected just to go for Judgment. It's the best Omni-Negate possible. At least without, like, setting up Synchros or something. Then I got rid of the 3 Infinite Impermanence. Honestly, just... it's whatever. That was more of a tough call. My deck is not very well optimized to be Invoked Darklord, believe it or not. So I took out the 3 Imperms and put in 3 Torrential Tribute because most of their, like, they can still special Darklords and stuff from the hand. And I was thinking, you know, they can do a lot. It's not like it'll stop it. I need just, like, more firepower. So I put in Torrential Tribute. Just went all in on the trap cards. And obviously I will be going first. And let's see if my hand's any better this time. Much better, much better. So I did draw the Torrential that I sided in, which is nice. Does kind of conflict with the play I'm going to do, but... yeah, so I'm thinking, I go for Tenki, and I have a decision to make, basically, of do I want to just make Trident Pass with Tribute, or do I want to make the Train? Because I do like to make the Train, and as my opponent didn't seem interested in activating, like, the Sanctified Darklord while it was on the field, I figured it was probably worth a shot just to see if I could stuff them out of their mostly monster effect deck. So I search out Rapier. Gonna do the train combo. Then Ram, overlay for Chakanine. Use Chakanine. Get back Ram. The same old deal. Everyone knows how this combo goes at this point. Gonna make Drident. Drident's gonna trigger, destroy Ram. Ram will trigger Reborn Chakanine, who can now have materials attached to it. Then I'm gonna make Tiger Mortar. Use Tiger Mortar's effect. Reattach the Ram to Chakanine. Then use Chakanine's effect again. Not a hard once per turn, which is great. Bring back Drident and make the train. This is kind of messy because I've got Torrential Tribute. And Torrential does destroy my own train, so that's just more of a last resort card if they find a way to out it. I'll also set the Scarlet for good measure, so if I have to Torrential, then I've got some backup. And hey, Skillmeister's here too. So let's see what my opponent can do. We're going to start with a trade-in, pitching Darklord Nurgle. I'm drawing 2 cards. Yeah, I don't play Ash in this deck. I don't think Ash is strong enough to contend with like the current hyper combo decks like Lyrilusk and Tribrigade or Drytron or Virtual World. You just need like you can't just annoy them a little. You have to stop their turns. So and Ash Blossom doesn't stop turns versus any of those decks. So I don't play it, but definitely hurts me versus like Invoked and stuff. Alright, they're gonna think. Gonna Cosmic Cyclone. Completely remove my dilemma of whether I need to Torrential or not by just blind hitting the Torrential Tribute. So now the train absolutely has to get me there. And then they're gonna Forbidden Droplet. So no, it won't. It will not. Just one Forbidden Drop. Pitching Enchantment too. So yeah, discard a card, negate Train's effects, have its attack. So now I have no plan. Anyways, they're going to pitch Darklord Amdusk and Darklord Rebellion for using Amdusk's effect. Discard this card on one Darklord card, target a Darklord in your graveyard, add it to the hand. Just had to read it. They're going to get back Nurgle. Oh no, they're getting back Enchantment. Okay. Misremembering. Sorry. And then they're going to get back Nurgle from the graveyard that way. It's got to be Nurgle here. Yep. It's got the same shared effect. Seems like the only relevant effect on most of these Dark Lords. I don't think Piercing is going to matter all that much. So they're going to use it for contact, get Amdusk back, accidentally shuffle in the wrong trap card. And then they're going to use Amdusk, target probably Rebellion here, just because it'll destroy Megaclops easily. Yeah, gets rid of Megaclops. I don't think I could have Skullmeistered any of them, like the Amdusk activated in the hand, not the graveyard, so... Then they're going to make Condemned Darklord. It's a neat one. You can tribute summon fairy monsters that require 2 tributes by banishing 2 monsters from your graveyard instead of tributing, but it still counts as a tribute summon. Then you can discard 1 card, take 1 Darklord monster from your deck, and either add it to your hand or send it to the graveyard. You can only use that effect once per turn. Once per turn during your end phase, gain 500 life points for each fairy on the field. Yeah, that's neat. It's like Miscellaneousaurus, except with a or not Miscellaneous, Overraptor, except that it requires way more setup. But I don't know, this deck seems capable of outputting it. They seem to have just a ton of really strong back row and a lot of ways to use it. Okay, they're going to Condemned, pitch the enchantment, and they're going to search out Darklord Morningstar, which as far as I can tell is the boss of the Darklord half of this part. Can't be special summoned. If this card is tribute summoned, you can special summon Darklord monsters from your hand or deck equal to the number of effect monsters your opponent controls. Can't do that when I'm doing so poorly as to have none of them. Yeah, well, you control another Darklord monster. Your opponent cannot target this card with card effects. Once per turn, you can send cards from the top of your deck to the graveyard, equal to the number of Darklord monsters on the field. If you do, gain 500 life points for each Darklord card sent by this effect. They will send two. They hit Banishment and Contact. Now, interestingly, Morningstar and Condemn, neither of them have, like, the quick effect. So my opponent has no way to interact with me on my turn. And I've still got a Zoodiac Barrage. So I can just make Zeus, but my opponent can't do anything about it. During the end phase, I will Scarlet Sanguine because I want Eldlich on the field, but I don't want to lock myself out of the Zoodiac half of the deck. And then next turn I can get Conquistador and the like. So I draw Hakero, it's fine. It might come in handy if I have to banish like the one light card in their graveyard and stop a Makaba from coming out. But my opponent didn't find the Invoked part of their deck. This is all Darklords, so I'll set Hakero. But yeah, I'll set Hakero, then I will Barrage. Presumably pop Tanky here. Nope, pop itself. Alright, either or. If I'm going to Zeus at the end of this turn, I don't think I end up doing it, but it doesn't really matter since I was thinking about potentially having to Zeus. I go for Borbo, just direct attack. Everyone knows what this does. It's Zoodiac's. It's the one reason to play Zoodiac now. It's not to make a train. It's just to make Zeus. I'll hit into the Condemned Darklord just for some extra damage. Then I'll direct attack with Borbo. Main phase 2. I think for a bit. There's pros and cons to using Zeus here. Like, this card isn't threatening on its own because it doesn't really do much besides set up the graveyard for other Darklords. So my opponent has to draw it into like the basically just I want to say specifically the revival spell to get back Condemned. If they want that part of their deck. Invoke's also a thing and annoying, but yeah, I think if I want a Zeus here, I think in the end I don't. I just banish Scarlet and get Conquistador. Yeah, so now I've got Zeus. I still have the Skullmeister, although it has not been doing me much good so far. And I've got Hakero if I need it. But they can have it. They're not going to draw anything that... Yeah, they drew Trade-In. And that's going to be the end of game 2. So 1-1. I took out the... Since I know I'm going second, I took out the Torrentials and the Judgments because... Like, Judgment's still good. Torrential's not good if you're going second. It's point blank. And I put in the Ash Blossom because it is pretty good against this deck. And I also put in 3 Dark Ruler no more, just in case. It never hurts to have it when you're going second versus this kind of deck. So yeah, 3 Ash just to annoy them a little. Like, it won't stop their turns like Droll and Lockbird does, but it can at least help. And then, yeah, I'm going second. So I have somewhere between 9 and 12 hand traps in my deck. And I draw none of them. This is a great hand for going first, though. But, yeah, I can't interact. So they're going to Alistair. Going to get Invocation. Going to tribute off the Alistair for Artemis, the Magistus Moon Maiden. This is kind of cute. It's like the Secure Gardna thing with Almirage, except you don't need to run Almirage. So you can just get an Invocation for 1 less card required. Make Makaba, use Invocation's effect. I think Artemis should be in the graveyard, but it does not end up mattering. Get back Alistair. And then we go into Darklord mode here. They're going to discard Darklord Itzchel and Contact for Itzchel effect. Discard that. Draw 2 cards. God, the Darklord half of this deck is so cool. It's just so neat. Then they'll Terraforming for Meltdown, I guess, to get more Invocations. Like, they've already got Alistair. I don't know why. They'll Meltdown, get back I guess. Just seems extra at this point. I clearly cannot interact with you. And then we keep going with Banishment of the Darklords. Just adds one. Simple as that. I believe they'll get Contact. All right. Contact's coming back. And activate Contact, get Ixchel, which does have the pay 1,000 quick effect, so. Accidentally put it into their hands. It's whatever, it accomplishes the same thing. Then they'll pay 1,000, target a Darklord spell trap in the graveyard. The usual. Gonna use Banishment again to get the trap card, the Sanctified Darklord. Then they're gonna set a card. And I'm pretty sure it's Sanctified, but then they set a second card. And this is fine. I've got all the things I could ever want, except I'm not sure I can deal with Makaba very well. Like, I think the best thing to do would be just to Eldland here, try and bait the Makaba. Because I'm pretty sure they have... Oh no, they have 3 Alistairs. So I'm thinking maybe they've got like an Invocation or something. But they don't. They just Cosmic Cyclone. So now I have to contend with Makaba anyways. Which is annoying. It's not the end of the world. Because Zeus is kind of busted. So I'll normal summon Ram. Then I will go into Hammer Kong. I go into Hammer Kong before Borbo here because Ram actually has another effect. Whenever an Xyz monster whose original type is Beast Warrior and has this card as material gains this effect. When your opponent activates a trap card or effect that targets this card, quick effect, you can detach 1 material from this card and negate the activation. So I'm counting on it's the Sanctified one, which actually does not target, so I'm dumb. Read your cards. It's very important. But the idea was sound. Then I'll go into battle, swing in for 400. Then I'll go into Chakanine. Then Zeus. Then I'm going to fire off Zeus, try and negate. I'm basically counting on Sanctified not firing here for some reason. Yeah, so that's Sanctified. Then I'll go again, because Zeus is not once per turn or once per chain. But they've got Makaba anyways, so I did not accomplish a whole lot. But that's where the Eldlich pieces come in, because now I've got more interaction. But back to them with their 3 Alistair hand or whatever. Gonna start with surprise, normal summoning the Alistair. Gonna get Invocation. Now, interestingly, my opponent has no lights. So it's not like I'm going to get hit with a second Makaba here. And then they reveal that they do play Almirage. So they make Almirage, and they could go into Secure Gardener here and make a second Makaba, because this card is not even remotely once per turn. But they have something different planned. They're going to Invocation, banish Alistair and Alistair for Invoked Caliga. Each player can only attempt to activate 1 monster effect per turn. It says attempt, so if it's negated, tough luck. Each player can only attack with 1 monster during each battle phase. That is rough. Basically, I can't use monster effects because of Makaba. I can't try again. And then they're going to go to battle phase, just hit in for 2,500 with Makaba. And at the end of the turn, I think for a bit, I do make a bit of a misplay here. Yeah, at end phase, I will do Conquistador Sanguine again, and I will attempt to target Makaba. Because it doesn't restrict special summon. So if I can get rid of Makaba, I can freely use Zeus, melt the board, and keep going, because I've got Rap here in hand. However, Almirage has text on it. Fun fact, Almirage has text on it. Who would have guessed? Quick effect. You contribute this card, then target one monster you control. It cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects during this turn. And I walk right into it like a fool. So they'll do that. Almirage activates. Its effect actually mattering for the first time ever. And I draw Tenki, so I can keep the Zeus train going. But it's going to take some time to get there. So I will make I will use Rapier here rather than use the Tenki. Even if I'm not using the effect. I've got Ram in Graveyard, and it's not like I can make Train at this point. I mean, I guess I still could. I have the materials for it. But it requires too many monster effects with Kalega and Makaba on the field. So I just go for Borbo. Swing in for a whole 0 damage, but it's okay, because Zeus's effect is real stupid. Doesn't mean it has to do damage, it just has to do battle. And it doesn't even have to be that Xyz monster. If I had a second one that did not attack, I could Zeus that one. So I'll go into Tiger Mortar, then Chakanine. I'm trying to conserve Trident just in case I need it. And I'll make Zeus. I can't really activate it because Kalega prevents me from doing it twice and Makaba's on the field. But Zeus is still cool. So, with the realization that I cannot, in fact, nuke the board, I will banish Sanguine since I used it during my opponent's turn and not mine. And get out another Conquistador. Because I need to get rid of either Makaba or Kalega. Because I am having some difficulty here. Alright, then we go back to my opponent. And without like the Sanctified Darklord, they can't negate their own Kalega. So now they're left only activating one monster effect per turn. And they are going to burn it on... Literally just don't have enough resources, says the Invoked deck. They're gonna burn it on Alistair's effect. I think basically just deciding what I want to do. If I want to chain Conquistador here. I do. So I bring out Conquistador, which is still a trap card. This does not count to my one monster effect per turn, but it will come up later. And I get rid of Makaba here, because now they can't activate other monster effects. So Conquistador resolves. Then they grab Invocation. They, for whatever reason, attempt to make a rank 4. They attempt to make Dweller. And then they're like, no, I don't want to make Dweller. So I let that go through, let them go with their actual plan. I'm not sure how one accidentally clicks Dweller, but it is what it is. They're going to Invocation. And I chain Hakero because I really can't deal with another Makaba. So I banish their Makaba and remove the one light they possibly have access to. So now they can't do that. And then my opponent will just banish Almirage and their current Alistair. And they will make Purgatrio. This card gains 200 attack for each card your opponent controls. So it's a 3,300 attacker. Can attack all monsters your opponent controls once each. This card attacks a defense position monster. Inflict piercing battle damage. This is going to be a problem because Kalega here says you can only attack with one monster, not you can only attack once. So my opponent could just run into my entire board with Purgatrio and I would probably lose. First, they gotta get Invocation back. Yeah, the ride never ends with Invocation. Oh my god. Now here's where things get a bit funny. Because I've activated 2 trap cards that are now monsters. So I think I can still use Zeus because I haven't activated a monster effect. I've activated trap cards. So they'll attack into Zeus with their 3,300 attack Purgatrio. I will chain Zeus to attempt to melt the board. And my opponent's like, you already used a monster effect. And this feels kind of fair to say because it special summons it as a monster and then it destroys a card. So I do see where my opponent is coming from, but this is not how it works because they're still trap cards. They're special summoned as normal monsters, so they cannot possibly use monster effects. And we end up deciding to call a judge just to get like a real resolution here. I'm pretty sure I'm right. Judge comes. If I activate Conquistador of the Golden Land while Invoked Calega is on the field, can I activate a monster effect afterward? Conk is a trap card. Simple as that. Good to know if you ever come into this exact situation somehow. So Zeus will activate. Melt the board. I get to float a bunch. Or I would if I remembered. Yeah, I forgot. That's so stupid of me. I'm just realizing this now. I totally could have OTK'd if I had just bothered to activate one of my 3 Golden Land trap cards. I could have gotten Scarlet, got the other Eldlich back with the tanky I have in hand, and just OTK'd. Would have been it. But nope, I'm dumb. I'm not smart. I'm so sorry. I'm not. Oh well. I'll just move Zeus to attack position. Then I realize, wait. First off, Meltdown should have gone. It's easy to forget. Activate Tenki. And then I'm doing math and I realize, wait, I don't have lethal because I didn't get the second Eldlich. Yeah, so I'm going to use Eldlich's effect, get itself back, buff its attack to 3,500. I would have lethal if I just searched out a Scarlet Sanguine during my opponent's end phase, but no, I forgot. So I just go into battle with what I have. Don't want to overextend. In case my opponent can break this board, I want to keep Thoroughblade in hand so I can make another Zeus. Then in main 2, I do some more thinking. Then I'm going to activate Cursed Eldland. I'm going to pay 800. Going to use its unheard of other effect, not just add the Eldlich. I can add a Golden Land spell or trap from my deck to my hand. And I'm still trying to keep them just off of resources. So rather than grab Conquistador, which I still have one, I actually opt to grab Hakero. Because my opponent has a lot of stuff that requires targeting in the graveyard or specific attributes in the graveyard. So if I can disrupt that, backed up with Zeus, I can possibly just end a turn right there. Then in end phase, I will remember I could have had lethal. Oh my god. I will remember to put the Scarlet Sanguine onto my field. Then I will pass the turn and see what my opponent can do. Yeah, this deck is great in the sense that it just never runs out of resources. Like, Eldlich is so recursive, and because every zoo can make it to Zeus, and it's like got Pot of Avarice and the like, and you still have space for a million hand traps, and everything floats. It's great. Yeah, I can't Zeus here until I Hakero, or I just have to say, you know what, I don't need Hakero, I need to Zeus. So that could be a problem, should it arise. They're going to pitch Darklord Ukobak and Capricious Darklord to summon Nastin is back. And I believe my effect does lower here from the effect of Capricious Darklord. So they'll be lowered by 500. Yeah. Just reading the cards in the graveyard, because they will matter at some point. Then they summon Alistair, so the Invoked train really never ends. Get back Invocation. Yeah, I still have Zeus, so I'm feeling pretty fine. Worst comes to worst. And with Darklords on the field, because it has to target a Darklord spell and trap, I can basically just use Hakero to banish whichever one of their spell or traps they target, which will cause Nastin's effect to fizzle. At which point my opponent does not have even a single light in the graveyard. So unless they still have another Almirage and Sagir Gardna or the Moon Maiden, they can't put Makaba on the field to stop it. So they will activate Nastin. Go down to 1100. At this point, if their life points don't go up again, I can even just normal summon Thoroughblade if I make it through the turn. Go into my one last Borbo and just attack directly for game. So they'll target Sanctified. I'll flip Hakero, banish Sanctified. And this will cause it to fizzle. We have a discussion about this. This is, again, another interaction I'm not familiar with. I do apologize that I'm not familiar with how Darklord cards work. But I'm pretty sure I'm right here. So we elect to call a judge again. Just to be absolutely sure. Judge comes back. Same judge as before. Just thank you to this judge. So banishing... I banish the target. It will fizzle. We just need the judge to confirm it for my opponent. And then my opponent apparently can't make Makaba. Because they're out of lights. So staring down the threat of a Zeus and seemingly unable to make Makaba. Yeah. Can I look at their... No, I can't. Cool. Thought I couldn't replace. Was going to see what they had left. Because my opponent will actually just elect to concede here. So yeah, that's it. They had a really cool deck. The Darklord stuff was so neat. I don't think is as good as like just pairing it with Zoodiac or Dogmatica or Shadal or Eldlich or the 15,000 other things you can pair Invoked with. But it's cool. Like that was neat. I had fun. Got to just outgrind my opponent with the power of one card and a bunch of back row. Well, 2 cards and a bunch of back row. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I will try to upload more consistently now that I found a Zoo variant I actually enjoy with Zeus in it. Yeah, I will try to get back to weekly uploads. Take care.